Hey guys, and welcome to Minikun Tutorials. So still within the framework of my RØDE Wireless Go 2 review series. In today's video, we will actually be looking at how to set up your RØDE Wireless Go 2, alright? So in the previous sections, I did the unboxing of the RØDE Wireless Go 2, as well as the interview part, alright? And I also showed you how to update the two transmitters as well as the receiver within the RØDE Central app, And now in this episode, we look at how to set up your RØDE Wireless Go 2, all right? And then in the next episode, I'll actually be showing you how you can actually do the best settings, okay, within the RØDE Central app that you can see here with a big logo, okay, how you can actually connect your two transmitters as well as the receiver to your computer using these cables, USB-C cables that come with it, and then how you can actually do the settings within the RØDE Central app to make sure you have good quality broadcasting audio, all right, for your videos. But in this particular episode, we just look at how to set up the RØDE Wireless Go 2. So without much ado, let me show you how that works. So I've waited for almost an hour now, and as you can see, everything is fully charged. So you can see that the one that was blinking, okay, so you see that the battery indicator for this particular transmitter that was blinking has now become stable, which means it's now fully charged. And as you can also see on this particular one too, it was already fully charged, so it's still fully charged. And the receiver is also here, it was already charged as well. And now what I will try to do is that I will try to switch all of them on again to see especially this particular one which was not turning on, to see whether it was a problem of I know definitely the battery was down, okay? So if we should look at the battery right here, okay, if we should, let me draw closer so you can see, okay, if we should look at the battery, we can see clearly that the battery is now full. You see, this particular one is what is the receiver, okay, and this is the first transmitter, this is the other transmitter, right? Okay, so now what we will do is that, just to let you know, the receiver is actually receives recordings from the two transmitters or mics, right? And this particular receiver can, that's why with the help of this particular head-to-head cable, when you connect, I showed you that earlier on, but I just wanted to elaborate on that again. When you use this particular cord and you fix one end to the receiver and the other end to your camera, then what the receiver would simply send the audio transmitted by the two transmitters or one of the two transmitters, depending on whether you are recording in merge or split mode, and then the receiver would simply transfer them to what, to your camera or to your phone or whatever, your computer or whichever device that you want the audio to be sent to, right? And after recording, you also have the possibility of retrieving your audio files from each of the recorders, or if you want from each of the transmitters or the mics that, I call them mics, okay, because the transmitters are actually mics. So we have one receiver receiving recordings from what, the two transmitters or the two mics, right? With that said, now what we'll do is that, like I promised, let me hang the camera, and then I will switch all three on just to be sure that they are all fully charged, okay? And that's the one that wasn't charging was not a problem of was not any issue. It's just that the battery was down. As we can see, all the batteries are now fully charged and it should work, right? So to verify that, I'll just hang my camera. Okay, perfect. So I've hung my camera, and then what I want to do is I'll unplug them, because once I have them plugged, the battery indicator will be on because they will be charging, and it'll be hard for me to tell whether they are switched on or not. So for that reason, I'll unplug all of them. Okay, now when I unplug it and it's still on, it simply means that it was already on, so I'll switch it off. Okay, so you see the receiver was also on. This particular one was off, I guess. So but let me switch everything off. Okay, so to switch off, we'll get to see in the settings. I wish after this particular chapter, we'll go into the settings and I will show you how you can set your transmitter, set your receiver, you know, the different recording modes and everything, and you'll be set, right? You know, the gain, you know, how many decibels you should put and all of that. But right now, let's switch all of them off. I just want to confirm that they are all working before we head on to the computer for me to show you the settings. So let's switch all of them off. This is the receiver. It has, let me also switch that one off, and then this last transmitter I will switch it off too. So notice that it was already off. Okay, remember it was already off, and I think it's because the battery was down. Now we switch it on to see whether it will actually switch on. Now we will actually explore more about these buttons, all these different buttons. For the transmitter, there's just one button here, but the receiver has two buttons. And for instance, if you press and hold this button and this button together, it turns on. You could either record on merged mode or let's say split mode, you know, if you want. We'll go into those settings. So for now, let's just stick to what I'm trying to show. Let's leave that for now, because we definitely go into the settings. Okay, but right now, what I would like to show you, I just wanted to remind you about the fact that anytime you unplug, or anytime you unplug your devices, you will see something like this. This is how the interface of the RØDE central app. Nothing is plugged, so it's just like this until you plug something. So let's restart. So I'll switch on. This was the one that wasn't on earlier on, so it's now fully charged. Let me power it and see. So I just press on this button, and then in the settings, I'll also show you how you can even set this button to something else, you know, so it's multifunctional. So but right now we are using it mainly to just power the thing. So press and hold, and now it's on. Okay, meaning it's fully charged and it's on. It was off because the battery was down, right? I thought it was charged overnight, but probably did not plug it well, so it's fully charged now. As you can see, this one of the transmitters. Let's switch on the other transmitter. So this is the other transmitter. Let's switch it on to. So press on this button, and then let's switch it on to. It's also on, right? But notice that the connection, okay, button is blinking. It's blinking. This particular button here, the connection button. When this one stops to blink and it just blue and stable, it means it's well connected to the receiver, right? But right now it's not connected. That's why it's blinking like this. But they are both fully charged. Perfect. Okay, so now let's turn on our receiver, and then once I turn on the receiver, they'll automatically connect, because that's how it's set. But of course, we can go to the settings and do other forms of settings depending on what we really want. So let's power the receiver. Okay, so to power the receiver, just press on this button, press and hold, and then bam, the receiver, you see that both are now connected. And when I talk, you can see like the audio, I don't know what to call those kind of vibrations, you know. So it shows that both, so we have one channel 1, channel 2 for transmitter 1 and transmitter 2. It's hard to tell which one is transmitter 1 and transmitter 2 unless you really if you want to know which one is transmitter 1 or 2, you could know that by simply pressing on this button. So if I press on this button, I will mute 1, right? So let's try that. No, not this button. Yes, let's try that and see. We are exploring. So if I press on one of the transmitter, if I press on the power button once, it hasn't muted anything. I thought it's when you press it and hold and you switch it off. But if you want to mute one of them, you see we have for the receiver, we have what I hope you can see on the receiver. We actually have this particular button here. Hope you can see. We actually have what? Okay, I try to let it focus so you can see properly. You can actually see the connection button under the receiver is actually rating 1 and 2. So if I press on one of them will be disconnected. So let's notice, let's press on once, and then I'm coming. Let's press and hold. Okay, both are in recording. Press and hold. It has selected this particular one. Let's press and hold. Okay, it has selected this particular one. Okay, right, it has selected 1. So when you press once, it selects. Okay, so it selects this, selects that. It selects one transmitter. Then you press, it goes to the next transmitter. If I want to mute the first transmitter, then I press this way, it selects the first transmitter. Then I press this button here, okay, the dB for decibels. So when I press it once, it's supposed to, let's do it again. So it has selected 1, then I press this here, then it has muted what? Transmitter 1. Okay, so transmitter 1 has been muted. In later settings, we'll see, for instance, if I want to we have what we call the pad mode. So if I'm using the adapter, the interview adapter that I've shown you, if I'm using it, I actually haven't brought it out. If you are curious to see how it looks like, I know you already know how it looks like, but I can bring it out for you. Okay, so this is the pad that, okay, so we can actually remove this. Okay, and then you fix the transmitter, one of these transmitters here, and then cover it with the air shield, right? So when you are using the pad, there's what we call the pad mode, and you can actually select the pad mode for whichever transmitter that you have fixed here. So by simply, as usual, you press on, so let's unmute this first of all. So I press once. No, let me press here. Okay, it has selected 1. Then I press this button here, decibels button here. Then I press it once to unmute the mic. Bring it here, unmute the mic. I don't know why it's not unmute. Okay, now it is unmuted, as you can see. Okay, now in case I want, let's say, pad mode, for instance, I'm using mic 1. I'm here to show you which one of these is, let's say, it's based on the settings, and sometimes you have to also look at the indicators to be able to tell which one is your transmitter 1 or transmitter 2, but both channels are shown here. In case I want to switch to pad mode, I simply press on this button here, connection 1 or 2, you know, to select. For instance, I'm selecting transmitter 1. Okay, so once transmitter 1 is selected, if I want to indicate that I'm using the pad, because the purpose of choosing the pad mode is to make sure that since you are using the pad, to ensure that you have the best sound quality adapted for pad mode. So you press on this button if it's transmitter, or if you want mic 1 that is in the pad, or mic 2, you select that mic in question. So if I press here, it has selected 1. If I want 2, then I press 2. Assuming it's mic 1, so I select mic 1. Okay, and after selecting it, I press and hold this button until I see this blue button. When you see this blue button, it means that it's in pad mode, and you can now interview whoever you want to interview properly with using the pad. Is to have the best quality pad interview or whatever. Yeah, so the best quality sound for recording in pad mode, so you make sure you turn that on. If I want to turn it off, then I press and hold once again. But before that, you press here to select the mic in question, then you press and hold until the blue button disappears. Okay, now what other thing did I want to show you before we head on to the settings? We also have what we call, if you want to record on split mode, for instance, the split mode. What is the split mode about? The split mode is, and the merge mode is simply has to do with, you see that we have, this is what, as it's boldly written here, this is what I'm coming. Let me show you once again. I'm sorry, I'm using the adapter to show you what I wanted to show you. It's boldly written that this is a dual channel wireless microphone, so it's for 2 people, and that's why we have 2 transmitters, right? It's for 2 people to be able to record at the same time, right? So what I wanted to say was that we can have what we call split recording, and we can also have, let's say, merged recording. When you have merged recording, it means you're going to have one audio file, okay, with the 2 voices. But if you have split recording, it means the person with transmitter 1 audio file will be recorded separately, and the person with transmitter 2's audio file will also be recorded separately. So it's up to you, maybe if you have any interest in doing that. Because for instance, if you know that maybe there's one of the persons that you are interviewing that is speaking so loud, and you would like to lower his pitch by editing his audio afterwards, then it will be a great way to separate the 2, right? Now if you want to switch to split mode, you just press and hold these 2 buttons. I think right now it's in merged mode, right? So if you want to switch to split mode, you press and hold these 2 buttons. Okay, the DB and then the connection button, these 2 buttons. If you press and hold them for some seconds, okay, no, sorry, it was actually in split mode, so that's why we had 2 wave bars for each transmitter. But you see that right now, after pressing on both, it has switched to what, to merged mode. So both audio files would go to, would just, both audios from both transmitters will be merged into just one audio file that you retrieve on your app, right? Okay, now let's switch back to split mode. So just press on hold on the 2, and that brings us back to split mode, as you can see. I think this is enough, and now we'll go to the app, and in this particular chapter I will show you how you can now do the settings on your app. Okay, so in your app you can do all these things. There are settings for the receiver, because in terms of audio quality, you cannot, I'm not sure, but we have like standard and broadcasting audio quality, right? So I'm not sure whether you can do that on the transmitter, right? So I prefer we do it on the app. So I'll show you all those settings, be it for the 2 transmitters or for the receiver. Okay, like I said, I'm always mistaking receiver and transmitter. Earlier on I said I wasn't sure whether we can do the settings on the receiver but not on the transmitter. These are the two transmitters. Let's say, can we have standard or broadcasting audio quality settings done straight on by using the buttons here? I'm not sure, but on the app, the RØDE Central app is very, very easy. And so let's head on to the RØDE Central app and I'll show you how to do that. All right.